Hey, Joe Bob Briggs here. You know, I was thinking about this. Do you remember when we were trying to figure out that whole Croatian, Serbian, Bosnian, Herzegovinian ethnic Slav fest thing they were having over there, and we had no idea what was going on and who was mad at who. So suddenly the French said, let us solve it. We'll solve the problem. And so to get the fighting stopped, the Froggies send the very toughest guy they have, the French Minister of Defense, and he's going to clobber heinies and stand on tables and yell until they do exactly what he says. And there's only one thing wrong with that. His name was Francois Leotard. Why am I the only person who knew that this was never going to work? Don't you ever notice that there are some people who will never be what they want to be simply because of their name? I mean, what are the Serbs supposed to think? That a man named Leotard is going to flog them across the neck with an ankle warmer or something? How terrified can you be, especially when his first name is Francois? It's the same question I used to ask about that famed romantic leading man who could never quite get his movie career off the ground. Nobody could figure out why. I speak of Randolph Mantooth. I know why. Didn't the guy have a manager? Didn't anybody ever say, hey, Randolph, I don't think they'll be found in a Mantooth school of the contemporary theater anytime soon. They had this murder trial on court TV one time where the defendant's mistress took the stand, a psychologist named Lucy Papillon. We never would have known, would we? Joey Buttafuoco. He wonders why people won't take him seriously. There's a casting director in Hollywood named Valmont Dubone. I think we know why he's a casting director and not a movie star, right? Of course, it could have been a porno. Well, let's not dwell on that. Anyway, in the very first book ever written, the Iliad, which now that I think about it is also the first splatterpunk gore book ever written, how do we know who's going to win the big fight? One guy's name is Achilles, which might be the coolest warrior name ever invented, and the other guy's name is Hector. Now, I knew this from page one. No guy named Hector is going to win the biggest epic battle in history. Another example. We'll always have more respect for Supreme Court Justice Learned Hand than for Justice Felix Frankfurter. We'll never give the respect he deserves to the great handsome macho actor Walter Pidgeon. Now, don't get me wrong, because I'm not claiming you can never overcome your name. Let's face it, William Shakespeare, he had one of the worst names in history. Just think what it was like for him on the first day of second grade. Hey, Billy, shake your spear for us, how about it? But he overcame that through sheer talent. So it is possible. And one way, you know, that you can almost always do it is by using 3 names instead of 2. For example, Oliver Holmes. Boring. Oliver Wendell Holmes, that sounds like a goddamn great man. James Jones, nothing. Jimmy Jones, football coach with a hair helmet. But James Earl Jones, that sounds like a hell of an actor. In fact, that's why, rather than using my simple Christian name and surname, Joseph Briggs, I used the more elegant Joe Bob Briggs. And look where I've gotten with that. Okay, let's not dwell on that either. And speaking of actors with great names, Sissy Spacek is on deck tonight in the movie that thrust her into stardom and made her one of the most famous supernatural psycho killers in horror film history. I'm talking about Carrie, the movie that launched a lot of careers. It made Stephen King famous. It made Brian De Palma famous. It helped the careers of Amy Irving, William Catt, Nancy Allen. And it was, of course, the first movie ever to deal with tampons and Kotex in an adult manner. No snickering, I know my crew. Tampons and Kotex, they love that. It's a great movie, though. It's a horror classic. What more can I say than to give you those essential drive-in totals? We have 8 dead bodies, 2 breasts, 12 gallons blood, 1 mother from hell, excessive girlfriend slapping, beer on head dunking, pig slaughtering, mind control body flinging, psychedelic prom riot, satanic fire hose, double electrocution, gym teacher slicing, principal burning, backstabbing, crucifixion with dinner knives, exploding house, imploding house, 1 motor vehicle chase with crash and burn, Kotex stew, and of course, Pig's Blood Jubilee. 4 stars, check it out. We'll be back quicker than you can shake a pig at a prom queen. Also in this movie, John Travolta. Now that's a good name. John Travolta sounds like an Olympic event. He scored a 94 in the Travolta. Another good name in this movie, Piper Laurie. Sounds like a flower at the Renaissance Fair. Piper Laurie, you just want to kiss her. Unfortunately, she's a bitch. In the movie, I mean. You want to win a Monster Vision t-shirt? Only one way to do it. You got to try your luck in the Monster Caption Contest. All you have to do is make the six-headed jury laugh. The funniest one-liner gets a prize. And I'm sorry, the t-shirts only come in extra large because all our contestants are fat. I mean, all our contestants are big Monster fans.
Play the Monster Caption Contest and win a free t-shirt at tnt.turner.com/MonsterVision. Back to Monster Vision host Joe Bob Briggs and Carrie on TNT.
This is a curse. This is a this was the second curse, and this was a curse of childbearing. Any drop of came in sweat and blood. Genesis 3:16.
Well, those scenes between Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie just make your teeth grind, don't they? Ugh. Especially when she locks her in the prayer closet. Both of those actresses were nominated for the Academy Award for this movie, which never happens in horror flicks. That was just amazing. A lot of you probably remember Piper Laurie from The Hustler. Remember? She's Paul Newman's alcoholic girlfriend. He meets her in the bus station. Then in the big Kentucky Derby sequence, she kills herself in the hotel room. George C. Scott's there. She was nominated for that performance, retired from the screen to devote herself to her husband. She goes off to live in Woodstock, New York. Then 15 years later, she comes back to make Carrie and gets nominated for the Oscar again. And she didn't work at all between the two movies. Anyhow, the movie is already making you tense, right? One of Brian De Palma's best movies ever. That shower scene at the beginning, that seems a little cliched now, but that's because it was the first high school shower scene of that type. It's been copied 19 jillion times. That's why you think you've seen it. Would have been much better if we could have shown you the naked bodies, but what the hey, let's not dwell on that, okay? Roll it as we continue the role that made Sissy Spacek a major star, Carrie. She's supposed to be a high school senior, but she was actually 27 years old when she made this. Texas girl. They can do that, see? Quitman, Texas, population 1,000, up by Texarkana, Sissy's hometown. I always got to get that Texas thing in there. I'm a patriot. If you got something to say about tonight's movie or me or the mail girl or anything else that's on your mind, then I invite you to speak your mind in Joe Bob's Rec Room. I got spies that tell me everything happens in there, and sometimes I drop in just to see how many people enjoy wasting a perfectly good Saturday night by watching this show. You can't get there from here, but you can get there at tnt.turner.com/monstervision.
Come talk monsters in Joe Bob's Rec Room at tnt.turner.com/monstervision. Back to Monster Vision host Joe Bob Briggs and Carrie on TNT.
I want you to do something. Something important. Billy, I hate Carrie White.
Yes, 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 yes. And in the original theatrical version of the movie, Nancy Allen does a little something special for John Travolta in the front seat of his car. We won't go into what it is, but it's something that men like, if you know what I mean. And I think you do. This was Nancy Allen's second film. Her first one was in the great movie The Last Detail. And she was dating Brian De Palma when they made it, and then they were married in 1979, and then they got the big D in 1984. And by that time, John Travolta, he became a superstar during that time with Saturday Night Fever and Grease and Urban Cowboy. And then after that, Dog Doo-Doo. He kind of dropped out of sight for a while, started doing Scientology. In fact, if you talk to him today, he'll tell you it was Scientology that renewed his faith in himself and got his career started again, so that today he's just about the world's biggest box office star, I think. What's he getting for his next movie? 25 mil or something like that. But when this movie was made, he was best known as Vinnie Barbarino in Welcome Back, Kotter. But everybody got famous who was in this movie. William Catt, who plays Tommy Ross. It was his first movie. Then he did another great flick called Big Wednesday. Then he eventually became a veteran B-movie actor, and he started working with his mom a lot in those Perry Mason TV movies. His mom is Barbara Hale, and he wrote a lot of those Perry Mason shows. Naked Obsession in 1990, where he's the sleazy city councilman. That's a great movie. All right, who else got famous? Betty Buckley. as the girls' gym coach, her first role in film. She was primarily a great stage actress, cabaret singer. Later, she would replace the mom on 8 is Enough. Recently, she was in Sunset Boulevard on Broadway. Amy Irving, the girl who plays Sue, the nice girl in the movie, Tommy's real girlfriend. This was her first movie. She went on to do many other movies, was nominated for an Academy Award. You know what she was nominated for? As Barbra Streisand's wife in Yentl. How many women have played Barbra Streisand's wife on the big screen? I think the answer would be 1. Then she married Steven Spielberg. They had a baby, got the big D from him, got 80 million bucks. Then a year later, she had a baby with a Brazilian guy. What's that guy's name? Bruno something. I need to start looking this stuff up. Anyhow, that's enough. The point is, Brian De Palma got all these hot young actors together. Most of them had done very little work before this movie. They were petrified most of the time, very nervous set, high tension, and I think that helps the movie, actually. Okay, back to the flick. And by the way, did we just watch a scene where there was some graffiti on a wall that said, Carrie White eats doo-doo? Only they didn't use the word doo-doo. They used the real word. Did I just see that on TNT? I'm impressed. Visual doo-doo got past the censors as opposed to the usual verbal doo-doo that we take out. Not to mention the programming doo-doo, but we just won't go down that road at all, will we? All right, most of you already know that Monster Vision is on every Saturday night on TNT, but some of you don't know that you can get a preview of this week's Monster Vision right now. If you check out the Monster Vision website, you can find out about this week's creature feature, plus you read some of my most personal fan mail. You can play the monster caption contest. Won't that be fun? Win a t-shirt, sneak a peek at this week's Monster Vision Playmate. To get there, point your browser to tnt.turner.com/monstervision. And as for those of you who want to voice your opinions or suggestions or complaints or gripe at us, here's the mailing address you need. Monstervision at 1010 Techwood Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. But if you're one of those cyber people who love to send email all the time, you got a choice of 2 addresses for me. Why do we have 2 addresses? One is monstervision@turner.com, and the other is joebob@turner.com. I don't know. Don't make me have to tell you all this again because it was too confusing to remember all the first time.
Visit the Monster Vision website at tnt.turner.com/monstervision. Back to Monster Vision host Joe Bob Briggs and Carrie on TNT.
Get her done, man. Get her done.
I can't. You. Oh, I knew it. I knew this would happen. Now just you. Hold there, you pig. All right, move it out. Move it out. That's it. Come on. Move it out. Yeah, that's my baby. Yeah.
Great pig slaughter scene from Carrie. We had to tone that down a little bit. Not to be confused with the squeal like a pig scene from Deliverance. Remember when they did the musical version of Carrie on Broadway? What were they thinking? It ran for 5 performances sometime in the mid-'80s. In fact, Betty Buckley was in it, but instead of playing the girls' gym coach, she switched roles and played the mom. Can you imagine what kind of songs that they wrote for Carrie's mom in the musical? You're going to burn in hell. So let's dance. I don't know. Can you imagine a big Broadway chorus line going, a pig slaughtering? Here we go, a slaughtering, a slaughtering. That had to be tough. Anyhow, we've got the non-musical version of Carrie tonight, although it does have the creepy score of Pino Donaggio. Brian De Palma movies always have good music. He worshipped Hitchcock, so he loves to play around with music, creep you out with those musical sounds. Just listen to this when Carrie gets all dressed up for the prom. Roll it. You notice how sometimes Sissy Spacek looks real ugly? And they highlight all her freckles? And then when they want her to look beautiful, they make the freckles all disappear. I've known girls like that in real life. You know, you got to catch them in just that right light, or you could end up ducking that goodnight kiss. You know, doing that old, oh, I have to get up at 6 to drive to Houston kind of thing, you know. And the thing is, one day before, you thought she was a supermodel. I hate that.
Back to Monster Vision host Joe Bob Briggs and Carrie on TNT.
You know, feminists don't like this movie. They've written a lot of articles about it. They think it's a sick view of women, both Carrie and her mom and all the girls at the school. It makes women look manipulative and too concerned with their looks and ashamed of their bodies and hysterical about religion. And one writer called it the greatest put down of women ever made. So I think I should take a moment here to state the official Monster Vision position on the treatment of women in Carrie. And that position is, these are hot babes. We like looking at them. Okay, roll it. Hate to take time out for political issues like that, but you know, they've come a long way, baby. Hear them roar. Right on. More daycare centers. Hey, you want to see rare photos of Sonny Bono being turned into a giant avocado? Want to see Freddy Krueger without his makeup? How about some behind-the-scenes dirt on Italian horror classics like The Vampire and the Ballerina? If you want a break from the New York Times, we suggest you try the Monster Vision Weekly World. Where else can you find a headline story like Headless Monster found in topless bar? You can't find anything that good anywhere else but at tnt.turner.com/monstervision.
Visit the Monster Vision website at tnt.turner.com/monstervision. Back to Monster Vision host Joe Bob Briggs and Carrie on TNT.
Ooh, Piper Laurie slashing that produce at home. Anyhow, I love that scene where Sissy Spacek and William Katt get lost on the dance floor and twirl around like crazy. The way they did that, they were on a spinning platform, and the camera was on a device that moved in the opposite direction of the spinning platform, and they had to say their lines at the exact moment that the camera was on their faces as they moved. It's really a beautiful scene, I think. It's one of those Brian De Palma things that he copies off of Hitchcock. This was his 10th movie, but it's considered his breakthrough film, and all the reviews said, De Palma does this, and De Palma does that, and isn't De Palma cool? And you know what was funny to me about the reviews? There was practically no mention of Stephen King. It was all Brian De Palma. Hell, there was more mention of Lawrence D. Cohen, the writer who adapted the novel, than there was of Big Steve. Pauline Kael, she wrote this 19,000-word review without saying anything about Stephen King. And this was Big Steve's first novel. It was the first movie made from one of his novels. I just think the guy should have got more credit. Maybe Brian De Palma is not the only genius involved here, you know? Sorry, but stuff like that just kind of burns my bacon. Steve's up in Maine, wondering why his monthly royalty check was only $70 million this month instead of $80. He could probably care less that De Palma gets all the credit. But he thought the whole thing of, you know, the 16-year-old girl, she has her period, she doesn't know what's happening, mean girls throw Kotex at her. He thought that up. She starts teleporting stuff to compensate. Anyway, if you're watching Steve, we remember, Monster Vision remembers. Okay, back to the flick. This is a really, really good part right here. Not that I ever suck up to Steve or anything. I would never do that. Did you guys see me in the stand, by the way? Oh, yeah. Some people, yeah, many people thought I was brilliant. I think that might be going a little too far, but don't say that. You want to win a Monster Vision t-shirt? Only one way to do it. You got to try your luck in the Monster Caption Contest. All you have to do is make the six-headed jury laugh. The funniest one-liner gets a prize. And I'm sorry, the t-shirts only come in extra large because all our contestants are fat. I mean, all our contestants are big Monster fans.
Play the Monster Caption Contest and win a free t-shirt at tnt.turner.com/monstervision. Back to Monster Vision host Joe Bob Briggs and Carrie on TNT.
You know, I don't think I want to interrupt Sissy Spacek right at this point in the movie because I think she's just a little grumpy. Let's just go ahead and play this baby on out, okay? The principal burned up real good, didn't he? Whew. There's probably going to be a lot of detention hall for Carrie come Monday morning. What do you think? I'm joking, but I love the picture. It tears me up. It really does. I can hardly even stand to watch that part where she's so happy and then the blood's about to come down on her. That part rips your heart out. Great movie. Okay, finish it on up. Great surprise ending. In case you were wondering, that was Sissy Spacek's arm that came up out of the grave. Right now, though, we're going to kick off Joe Bob's Last Call, and our movie is none other than the classic The Warriors, starring Michael Beck. Michael is the leader of a gang in Coney Island called The Warriors that goes uptown for a massive meeting of all the gangs in New York City, and before the night is over, they've been to hell and back about 19 times, and I don't want to give away the plot for those who haven't seen this, but these are the kind of gangs that you only see in the movies. They're like the gangs in West Side Story, you know? Gangs with a heart of gold. None of that New Jack City bull stuff where they show you what a drug deal is really like. So, anyway, it's a fun movie. It's a lot of campy 70s stuff in this movie. And as an added service to TNT